could potentially be an even wilder series based on who's playing here on Lightshade LE. We're in the bottom right-hand corner map, starting all the way in the bottom right-hand corner. We have the red Protoss player coming down from the land of Denmark, representing Storm Gaming. That just happened a couple hours ago, if I'm not mistaken. We have MaxPax.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Lightshade LE, we have the Blue Terran player representing Team Starcom. It is Bratok. From Ruska. Duh.
I think I'm sensing a bit of a trend here, Light. So we started things off with a very unorthodox series from players who are very unorthodox, one of them being from the old guard of sort of CIS region, and the other one being a very much new blood, a rising talent playing Protoss, and now we are getting something completely different. An old guard from the CIS region versus an up-and-coming new blood talent.
Yeah, we were talking about Bratok earlier. You know, he's also one of the more elderly. one of the older.
I don't go that far. Yeah, that's also funny.
Tell Bratok I called him elderly. An older player up against, again, a younger one. Cristiano, like MaxPax, both very young, 17 or 18 years old. And a lot of potential here. I think most would agree MaxPax with a lot more potential, looking to come out of his group on top, you know, potentially top 2 even in his group, as he has become a very solid macro player over the past year.
Exactly. I mean, he's definitely known a lot for his proxies and his rushes. In fact, I think that's how he first made a name for himself, at least to most, especially on the NA scene. But there is a lot more to him than that. As you said, he's been working a lot on his macro play, and you know, we were talking a little bit about how the series and the results of the first couple of days have been unsurprising. I will say, I was not expecting MaxPax to take out or defeat Showtime 2-0.
Oh yeah, that was really MaxPax proving himself here. Again, MaxPax has been on the rise for the past year, looking to dethrone Showtime as the best Protoss player in all of Europe. And it's possible that he's able to prove that here this season in DreamHack. A lot of eyes are on MaxPax. On top of that, it's really cool that he's on a new team. I'm not too sure what the acquisition of Exxon, what that means for the players, really, if anything. But as you can see, he is rocking that new Storm logo. Still has the old Exxon clan.
XCOM?
Yeah, I almost said XCOM. Exxon clan in game. I'm sure they'll get around to fixing that at some point.
Yeah, that's take a little bit of time. Again, it's a very recent announcement. I want to say 20 hours ago.
Yeah, less than 24.
That was definitely a sweet. Yeah, I was definitely asleep when the announcement was made.
For those who maybe haven't seen it yet, Team Exxon was acquired by Storm Gaming. They were, I imagine, kind of bought out, and Storm, they acquired the entire team, the staff as well, and I imagine the tournaments, as Exxon Cup may probably be rebranded as the Storm Cup. Yeah, pretty interesting news.
Except this time, they get a lot more funding behind them.
That they do.
Good old KJ.
Massive shout out to KJ. Very passionate, loves StarCraft. Maybe one of the most passionate team managers or team owners out there. It's really cool to see him, investing even further in StarCraft. And meanwhile, we are getting into the swing of this game here. A couple of things did happen, and we didn't really talk about them. But, of course, Bratok, he is going for a 3 racks opener. He even skipped his initial Reaper as well, just to pump out as many Marines as he could.
Yeah, this has gone unscouted so far from the side of MaxPax, but he should be suspecting something when he saw that many Marines. Will it matter in the end? Maybe, because Blink is just about finishing up here.
Exactly, so we didn't get to talk about it, but MaxPax did go for a pretty standard Blink opening, and he hasn't seen the Mass Marine quite yet, and he actually just completely missed it, so now he's just committing to this attack, and he may be able to break through into the natural base, and Bratok has not turned around.
around for a second, but decided to commit in the end. More and more Stalkers are being warped in. Whenever MaxPax wants, he can completely give up on his natural position, try to blink into the main.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, at the same time, yeah, the Bioforce does break into the natural base. We could still see a recall from MaxPax, or we can just see a straight-up base trade.
I'm honestly kind of hoping for the latter over here. But I think it would be wiser for MaxPax to go for that recall.
Yeah, I mean, he's dealing a lot of damage. There's nothing left here in the main base, only a single Marauder. At the same time, it looks like the Marines have finally broken in, and yo, there is a shield battery and a couple of Stalkers. Yo, Overcharge!
Has been popped. Not quite enough bio here to take out the Stalkers without Sim, but of course, if they Sim, they are at a much bigger threat. I like this from Bratdock. Wait until these Stalkers were right at the edge before pulling the Stim trigger.
Yeah, exactly. He almost got the Stalker in the end, but the Stalkers, they just keep staying alive. They don't die. Shield battery, OP Kappa, as nothing dies. The entire Bioforce does get cleaned up, and GG gets called.
Wow. What a start to our series. Very quick and very active from both sides. So we're gonna supplies at the end of that game. Both players had about the same workers, but of course, Bratdock could not bleed out as many army units as MaxPax could.
I mean, that's the power of Blink Stalkers, right? They're so goddamn efficient. There's so much micro potential, not just with Blink Stalkers, but also with the Warp Prism as well, right? It's like you have 2 Blinks at that point. It's crazy. You can also warp in across the map. Whenever he wanted to, he could recall if he ever felt the need to, if he was ever feeling under threat to clean up that Bioforce. And we saw how well MaxPax was able to handle it. It was, again, very decisive play, also very standard play. Bratdock was the one trying to pull a fast one on his opponent, but as we saw, just not fast enough there.
Yeah, that's kind of the strength of the Blink Stalker opening, isn't it? Just the insane versatility it has in the PvT matchup. It's decent defensively, it's very good against air-based harass, but you can also be very offensive with it, or aggressive with it if the opportunity arises.
Definitely. As we saw there, you can be defensive, you can be aggressive, and yeah, Bratdock was very committed with that attack. And now we're going to be diving into game 2 here. Oh boy. So far, a very quick game there in game number 1. I'm kind of pleasant, you know. I dig it, especially after a very long ZVP series we had with Bly and Christiana.
Yeah. But hopefully we will be able to get a full 3-game series out of this as well. My eyes are gonna be a lot more on Bratdock here. A little bit of my Terran bias shining through.
Fair enough.
But a very exciting start, nonetheless.
Yeah. Again, I apologize to the people watching right now that we didn't get to focus too much on the openers there in that game. Didn't realize how quickly things were ramping up. We were kind of busy, you know, in our own thoughts, talking about the new team acquisitions and all that stuff. But here we are now in game number 2.
We are now on Oxide LE. We're in the bottom left-hand corner map, starting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We have the blue Terran player coming down from the land of Russia. He is representing Team Star Community, or just Starcom. He is Bratdock.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Oxide LE, we have the Danish Protoss player. He's red, representing his brand new team, Psystorm Gaming. It is MaxPax.
And if I were MaxPax right now, I'd probably be thinking, if it ain't broke, don't break it.
Well, the problem with what we just saw in game 1 is that MaxPax didn't do anything fancy.
He did not at all, yeah.
It was just, you know, straight up Blink Stalker opening. I mean, to be fair, it was relatively aggressive because he did prioritize that War Prism. He did go across the map with it. So there was a little bit more commitment behind it. But it's not like he was all in by any means, unlike his opponents, who was kind of, I guess, forced all in a way. Yeah, so we're probably going to see more of the same from MaxPax. To be fair, he is a solid enough or versatile enough player where we could see him open up even maybe with a Stargate with some Phoenixes.
Absolutely. Again, he might want to break out the MaxPax of old if he wants to. There's really no reason to after the first game very much going his way with standard opening, but he is up 1-0 in this series. He can't afford to pull off something a little different.
Yeah, you know, whip out some of that old school MaxPax if you build, and if you will even. But so far everything is pretty standard. Once again, Bratok did forego his Reaper, went for a Marine first, you know, just to make sure he's able to push everything away. And Bratok, he's, yeah, even a little bit paranoid, just scouting around with his SCV.
He knows who he's up against.
Yeah.
He's heard the legends.
Even though MaxPax is more of a macro-oriented player nowadays, like, he can turn on the cheese whenever he wants to. That's what's so terrifying about MaxPax. That's what's so great about him, right? We talk a lot about how, you know, there are players out there like Cyril, who for the longest time, who would do nothing but macro. But nowadays, you know, he mixes things up a little bit more in there. And, you know, so does Raynor, like to great success there. You know, it's always great to have that versatility, to be able to be a little bit more flexible with how you play instead of just nothing but macro.
Yeah, you never want to be analyzed and countered. But speaking of analyze, Bratok going for another 3-rack.
He is. Oh boy. And MaxPax, he's going for his Twilight Council and a Robo, so things are shaping up pretty similarly. We'll see if maybe Bratok's like, you know what, I made a couple of mistakes last game. I think I can tighten them up. I think maybe I can be a little bit more decisive and really shut you down. So yeah, we'll see how he executes here. So far, MaxPax hasn't been able to scout this.
He has not. May have a bit of an inkling. He sees 5 Marines here and no
true.
Reapers whatsoever. He's got to be using that gas for something. Bratok is.
Exactly. So again, this is in the back of MaxPax's mind. It isn't confirmed by any means, but it's definitely a possibility. Meanwhile, yeah, he still hasn't been able to get too much scouting with this Adept, but it's still alive for now. But maybe I'll speak too soon. Okay, it's okay.
It's alive. For now.
For now. Meanwhile, yo, there's the blink. We got 3 more gateways being thrown down. We have the War Prism on the way. And, oh my god.
History is going to continue to repeat itself, won't it?
We'll see. We'll see.
I suppose Oxide is a much more condensed map than Lightshade is. We'll see who that ends up benefiting. MaxPax already making his way across the map, going to be warping in a ton of stalkers. Bratok, are you pushing out yet?
Yeah, he's looking to push out. Maybe try and intercept that War Prism. Yo, it's quite vulnerable.
And MaxPax will be forced to cancel. He confirms that it's Mass Marines coming his way.
And the Marines do back off. Again, I was trying to theorize in my mind as this was playing out. If the two armies faced off against each other, if Bratok wasn't halfway across the map when the engagement happened, how would this go for Bratok? Against Blink Stalkers especially, because he doesn't have a factory, he doesn't have any tanks to like cover his main or his natural. He will have a bunker, but again, because MaxPax has Blink and a War Prism, he can just avoid the bunker and go straight into the main.
He definitely can. I want to say Stim to win, honestly, Light, but as you said, Blink throws a bit of a wrench in the mix. Bunker immediately goes down. That's unfortunate.
I like how I'm thinking, yo, you can avoid the bunker. MaxPax is like, yo, I can kill the bunker, and he just straight up killed it. I'm like, oh my god, okay, never mind.
What a power move coming from him. MaxPax will get a nice scout in the main base of Observer. Decides I don't really need to commit to anything massive right now. I can just continue on these 2 bases and get to my next phase pretty comfortably.
And this is what's scary. Now Bratok has to try and split up his army. He has to try and deal with the Stalkers in his main base. At the same time, the Stalkers are trying to push into the natural.
And is Bratok going to be picked apart over here? Has just enough bio to deal with Stalkers in the main base, but he's already stimming them.
That
so is. Max out here, Light.
Yeah, and what's scary right now is that Bratok is being contained, and MaxPax, he has a little bit more freedom. And we see with that freedom, he's throwing down his Robotics Bay, looking to go into either Colossus or Disruptors.
Yeah, eventually going to be expanding as well, setting up for it. There we go. Forge is just about finishing up here, so we're going to see MaxPax just get perpetually more and more ahead as the game drags on.
Yeah,
Bratok needs to do something massive to break out here.
That he does. To be fair, Bratok, like, soon his upgrades are going to finish up, and he will have a pretty strong Bioforce. Oh my god, the War Prism! Oh, it does take some damage, but still no whole damage. Oh my god.
Yeah, not quite enough Marines here. They were very badly overstimmed. MaxPax trying to get something done by Blink, get into the main. How is the War Prism still alive?
Oh my god, MaxPax, he lagged a little bit there, as in he didn't respond with that War Prism for a second, and Bratok took that moment and dealt a lot of damage, but the War Prism still survived.
And that is the important part.
Oh my God.
MaxPax does not have to sacrifice the Colossus to remake a War Prism anymore.
And he does not. And mates, that observer even survived the scan. I don't know if you saw, there was only one Marine to deal with DPS, so somehow, someway, the scan achieved nothing there, just wasted resources for Braddock.
MaxPax's units are just deathless at this point.
They just built different, mate.
You think
The
you
Danish.
think Immortals are a ground unit that attacks other ground units that's anti-armor? No. When MaxPax is playing, every unit's an Immortal.
Exactly. Aye. Meanwhile, those Colossus are on the way. Extended Thermal Lance, +1. Unfortunately, Braddock, even though he had a relatively fast engineering bay, he only has +1. He hasn't really been able to utilize that engineering bay to get even further ahead with his upgrades. So soon, MaxPax will catch up.
Yeah, Braddock just has never had the economic freedom in this game to get everything at once. He had to make a choice. Do I go for my upgrades or do I go for a starport? Do I go for more medevacs or do I throw down an armory? Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And he opted to go for the medevac, so, you know, he won't be stimming himself to death any longer. But he scans. Oh, he sees a fully saturated third base. He sees the Colossus. Goes for a Doom Drop. I love this decision.
Yeah, he knows exactly how much supply is concentrated by that natural base. MaxPax will now see it, but this is an opportunity for Braddock to just drop and get as much tech kills as possible.
That he is. At the same time, those Blink Stalkers are pushing in towards that natural base. So far, trading very well. Ooh, picks off one of the medevacs.
Pretty nicely done. The rest of the bio will converge in a bit of a concave, but the Blink Stalkers will make it out there. And these chargelets forcing Braddock into it and all in.
I would imagine so. I mean, Braddock, he wasn't able to establish his third base. Like, he's still stuck, not getting any upgrades, just stuck with just Marine Marauder. I just, other than going for an all-in, I don't know what Braddock, I guess he's trying to expand? I don't know about this one, mate.
Yeah, I mean, if he does commit to a more harass-heavy style, really focus on these drops, then
yeah,
he can get to a point where he's going to have enough freedom to expand on his third bases, you know, even out the income for a little while, and maybe force MaxPax to push into him. And it's definitely going to be tough winning defenses without tanks, but I mean, Braddock still has a lot of bio.
I mean, the Colossus are here, mate. There's no tanks, there's no Widowmines, there's nothing here. Everything will fall in the natural base of Braddock, forced to pull the boys. At the same time, we do have a drop in the main base of MaxPax, but again, we were talking about this last time. If MaxPax ever feels threatened, he can just recall.
And he does not feel threatened just yet. Those force wheels earlier on, taking out so many of the SCVs in the bio. GG is called, and MaxPax will take that series 2-0.